Every now and then, I have a good idea, and this is one of them. I'm at Trailblazer DX this week with several of my Revenue Cloud friends, and we are going to talk today about what we've seen at TDX, what we've seen over the past several releases at Salesforce, what the future of Revenue Cloud looks like, and how somebody looking to learn more about this can do so. We'll start by going around the table, the literal table here. Let me paint a scene for you. We're in San Francisco at a Yemeni coffee shop. We've got 2 full pots of coffee, some beautiful ornate coffee cups with steaming brew inside. We're sitting in a cushy couch in the back, a very quiet nook of the coffee shop with some of our closest friends in Revenue Cloud, and we're just going to chat for a little bit and see what happens. My name is John Garvins. Oh, this place is called Sana. Thanks. Tiff holds me accountable. This place is called Sana. It is near Moscone in San Francisco, Sanaa. It's a Yemeni coffee shop. It's fantastic. I've been here 3 times in as many days, so I definitely suggest you come here. My name is John Garvins. I'm the owner and head architect, only architect at Garvins Consulting. I left the corporate world and went out on my own a couple of years ago, and I'm still alive. So the world out there is good and fun, and I'm excited about the future of Revenue Cloud and how we're going to move from the old one, as I call it, to the new one. Next, we've got Tiff.
Great. Hello, world. My name is Tiffany Devlin-Drye. I am a principal architect at Pierce, Washington. I've been in the Rev Cloud space for 6 years now, somewhere around there. My first job in the Salesforce ecosystem was as a software developer, so my background is in development. I graduated with a computer science degree, so I've always been on the technical side, and now I spend most of my time architecting systems or doing architectural oversight for the projects that we have at Pierce, Washington. And so I have another architect here with me from Pierce, Washington.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is John Bishop. Another John here at the table, but you can call me by my last name, which is Bishop. I am an Aries. I am also a principal consultant at Pierce, Washington. I've been in the Revenue Cloud space for about 7 to 8 years now. Prior to Salesforce in general, I was implementing 911 software systems. So I've been doing the IC work for a bit, but happy to be here and discuss Revenue Cloud.
Hey everybody, this is Micah Gerger. I'm the founder and CTO of Blue Robot Digital. I'm a Salesforce Revenue Cloud consulting firm that consists of just me and myself. I'm a 2-time former Salesforce employee. I started back in the Steelbrick days during the integration. I was most recently a CTO of the RevCon group over at Globant. And I spend all of my time supporting other partners, supporting customers directly with any kind of CPQ billing, product to cash, quote to cash, order to cash type implementation. And I've been exclusively doing that for about 12 years now. So I think I'm probably the old man of the group. But that's okay. By 1 year. That's right. All right, go ahead, Jess.
Okay. I'm Jessica Roundy. I'm a Revenue Cloud solution architect, and I've been working in this space for about 6 years. John took me under his wing when I first started and trained me, and it's been a blast working in the environment. I've also gone out on my own this last year, and I've been doing contract work, and it's been fantastic. So.
Let's start with the obvious question in the room. For those of us who are listening that may not exactly know what the hell Revenue Cloud is, I'd love to hear a quick definition of what Revenue Cloud is from each member of the group. So for me, I'll go ahead and start. Revenue Cloud is a system created by Salesforce to help companies sell stuff and get money following quoting and billing processes primarily.
I'm next. Yeah, so Revenue Cloud is the full umbrella, and Revenue Cloud Advanced is now the new product that we have that supports customers through their CPQ process. So CPQ, configure, price, quote. So anything that has to do with configuring a product or configuring a bundle of products, and then pricing those products, and then delivering to their customers an actual quote document that has all the details. So Revenue Cloud, back to your question, Garvin's Revenue Cloud is the umbrella that encompasses all of that, including the billing products. And then Revenue Cloud Advanced is a specific product under that umbrella, which is now the current version or the newest product that solves for CPQ.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, not sure how I can follow that one other than just saying ditto to what Tiff said. But it is the soup to nuts of quote to cash for Salesforce, but giving a different definition of it. It is not only delivering good solutions for customers and optimizing their quote to cash, but it is also a great space for gaining experience and skills and professional growth within Revenue Cloud. Though its configuration can be advanced and tricky and cumbersome, it leaves a great opportunity for growth of individuals into this ecospace to empower their career or start their career.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily have a different definition than what Tiff said, but I think from an outsider perspective, it's easy to look at Revenue Cloud and see it as a Frankenstein right now, where you've got CPQ, you've got the Salesforce billing package, you've got Omni Studio, which was formerly Velocity. Now you've got, and then you had subscription management, and now you've got RLM/RCA, and now you've got Agentforce laying over the top of it. So there's a lot of pieces. So I would say it's absolutely an umbrella. It's kind of a Frankenstein, but it's really an evolution more than anything, because what you can see in each of the different products and how they were brought in and how they're used is really a response to the market. I mean, with Steelbrick, originally, I think there was 1% of Salesforce customers had any kind of CPQ tool whatsoever. So it was a pretty wide open space. And that's where you saw the big machines and the Aptus and Salesforce CPQs of the world pop up. And it's pretty straightforward. We need to be able to configure something fancier than a single product. We need to be able to support subscription pricing. We need to do the basics. And then we need to bill it. Well, we don't have any on-platform or packaged versions for billing tools. So that got acquired. And then with Omni Studio, that was an answer to, well, the CPQ package and billing package have real industry limitations. It does not support good, like true manufacturing or built-to-order manufacturing use cases. It doesn't support health and life sciences very well. It definitely doesn't support fins very well, or CPG. So there's a lot of barriers to CPQ and Revenue Cloud at the time being able to answer or solve the problems for a larger portion than maybe 15 or 20% of Salesforce customers. So that's where the industries evolved and popped up and got acquired by Salesforce and folded in. And that expanded the customers that Revenue Cloud could support. Then enter subscription management and RLM, RCA. That evolution came from all of the different customers that said, great, we can give a quote to our customers directly, and we can generate a document and we can invoice it. But we have a partner channel that wants to be able to fire in quotes. We have sell on behalf of an agent experiences, where we invested $10 million in these custom B2B or B2C commerce experiences. Now we have to manage everything in multiple places. How do we do that with CPQ? We can't. And so there's going to be a lot of like challenging programs, and everyone in the space is, retooling and trying to understand what these new tools will do. But the good thing is it really opens the door both for the customers that Revenue Cloud can support eventually, but also for the people who can implement it. Like John was saying, it's not as esoteric knowledge as CPQ and billing, where if you have core platform skills, you will understand a lot of the architecture pretty quickly if you can invest the time. So I think there's more people that'll be able to build careers, without necessarily going through CPQ training and understanding what's going on behind the curtain of the managed package.
Okay, well, all of that was quite comprehensive. But I think what if I can add anything, I feel like I validate everything that everyone said. It's very, very good summary of it. I think what I consider to be one of the most powerful features of Revenue Cloud is the ability to take to create guardrails around how to allow your end users to customize quite a complex product that can be customized, but without basically creating a landmine of potential mistakes, right? So it makes onboarding simpler and less training involved, and people get up to speed a lot faster. And so turnaround on your company will be like a lot smoother if you've got Revenue Cloud that can allow for that training to be simplified, and that way it's not like living in someone's brain, how you are meant to sell something. And then the other piece of it too that I find to be a huge selling point is the pricing engine and the ability to create unique pricing based on the often global customer base that you have. And so I think that is going to expand quite a bit going forward. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be like.
Thanks for all those responses. I had no idea that it was going to be such a diverse set of lenses that we would see all of this. And John, yeah, I agree with you as well. The career opportunities, the first go around with CPQ were staggering for a lot of us. I mean, for pretty much everybody at this table, our careers are nothing like we imagined they would have been 10 years ago. And that's in large part due to the rise of CPQ and later billing, and now Revenue Cloud puts forth another opportunity for a new wave of people to learn this skill set, these business processes, and to build their careers on this platform. It is challenging at the same time. We have the old products that are out there. We have these new products going out there. Other competitors out there in the space. One of the things that maybe we can drill into first is part of how our careers have grown through this, and those maybe drilling into more of those specific opportunities that you see around the table for how somebody can enter this space or grow their career if they're already in this space with Revenue Cloud. For myself, a lot of my journey it started off as being an administrator of a CPQ product, and then accidentally, completely, and then getting into the dark side and being a consultant and training a bunch of people in how to do this, eventually coming out the other side, getting familiar with the new one, Revenue Cloud, and all of that. I see a lot of opportunity for people who they want to get into this space. I got an email yesterday from somebody trying to get into, they're one of the big four consulting firms. They want to get into CPQ, it's just not working out. And they see this as an opportunity or a window to get into that. So if you're a person out there who's trying to get into this space, there's plenty of opportunity for you. Perhaps not this year. It's still very early, but this is the time to start learning. And to do that, I would still encourage people, if they're on the fence about it, still pursue the CPQ specialist credential. I let mine expire like an idiot, but I'm now down to one certification. One of my clients.
What are you doing at this table?
One of my clients who I've been coaching on his certifications is now more certified than I am. And he's working on a CPQ one next. But
John's going to add the 1X after his name on LinkedIn now, just to show it off.
I'll update my LinkedIn profile. It's slightly out of date.
It's a good one, that one, though, that you got, right?
Yeah, I think his platform app builder is the one that I have left. That said, CPQ specialist, why should you learn this and pass this old credential? Because the fundamentals are the same. It's important here, I think, to understand the principles of what it is that we're actually doing. We're helping companies sell stuff and get money. That's quoting, that's billing. And if you understand those processes, the tools don't matter as much. And there's a lot of concern around what tools should I learn. Somebody that a couple of us know My friend Kyle was very concerned about what should I learn right now? Should I learn Revenue Cloud? Should I learn Logic? What other tools? I encourage people as they're pursuing this to really focus on the principles of what business problems we're solving, what business processes support those goals, and then the tools will shift over time. They will. Even the new one, there will be a new one at some point on a long enough time horizon. So it's important to stay adaptable and agile with the specific tooling that we're learning. But the fundamental principle is that businesses will sell things to other businesses, and those deals are complex, and then they need to get money for that stuff. That's not going to go away. I'd love to hear other thoughts.
Yeah, what I would say, there's a few things, a few evolutions that I'm seeing in our space pretty clearly, one of which is the products are evolving faster than ever. And so because of that, the gap between what people who are implementing the products know and what the products can do is probably wider than ever, which to me, you also throw in the ability to use other AI tools to help you with writing a trigger or help explain what a piece of code is doing if you don't know, if you're not a developer. Those tools can put more technical capabilities in the hands of people who traditionally are less technical or aren't like Tiffany that with the developer background that may not understand. So I think what people in the space need to focus on is being a technologist. It's not learning a specific tool. It's not learning a specific development language. It's learning how to approach problems and solve those problems with the resources that you have. And that's something that I've coached a lot of coworkers and team members over the years on is focus on how you're approaching your problems and be pragmatic about it and exploit all of the resources that you have. We have more resources to help solve technical challenges in business use cases than ever. We need to leverage them. And you're going to learn as you do that. You're going to always be learning. And if you are, you'll be able to gradually add more and more value to your customers. And then the other evolution that I think, we're seeing in the space is around, the people who are implementing the products. Because of those technical resources you have, industry and domain knowledge is more valuable than ever. And so for people who are just getting into the space, it's really tough because the overall business problems you're trying to solve are, like you're saying, John, they're the same. I mean, they're different flavors of them, but what products are we going to create and bring to market? Well, that's going to be informed by what you're selling and what your customers are demanding, how you're pricing them, how you're packaging them together, how you're pushing them through fulfillment and billing and provisioning. Those are all pretty familiar problems. So regardless of the technology, understanding those core use cases and the core business problems that you're trying to solve, it's super valuable. And a lot of customers are looking for that going, yeah, someone has a CPQ specialist certification or 22 Salesforce certifications and they put it in their LinkedIn profile. Well, do they know actually what my business is trying to do and how we're trying to do it? And I think one of the things that concerns me about RCA is because some of the barriers to how to implement are lowered, implementers are free to implement their bad ideas all day long. And so that domain knowledge and knowing how not to approach certain problems and how to support customers without just throwing your immediate knee-jerk reaction at it is more valuable than ever.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think it really comes down to customer success, right? And that means the evolution of the product that we've seen since the Steelbrick acquisition. Like, why did the Steelbrick acquisition happen? Because they were making customers successful. They were solving a problem that was out there in the industry that other companies weren't solving, right? And so we see the evolution of Salesforce coming from the Steelbrick package and then building their own Encore system. And the whole guiding principle behind that is, again, customer success. And when you think about, the Steelbrick package has always had gaps, right? There have always been gaps. John Garvins is laughing at me. Yes, there are gaps. But then when you, from the perspective of Salesforce, try to solve those gaps. You have to solve those gaps for thousands of customers, you know? And coming back to business use cases, once you get into a few companies and you start asking them questions from a solution architect lens and go, okay, what do you sell? What is your product? And then the next question or the next subject, how do you price that product? You know, the number of creative responses that you get to those two questions run the gamut of human creativity. You know, it's like,
I had a Brazilian customer 2 years ago that had 41 usage models they wanted to support. And some of them were incredibly creative.
yeah.
But we're like, why do you need to do it this way?
Right. And that's a valid question from a consultant, right? But the answer sometimes is because that's how we do business. We are a multi-million or a multi-billion dollar company. We've been in business for 50 years, 75 years. My recent client has been in business for 120 years. And they are a multi-billion dollar company, and that is how they got there. So these systems need to solve those problems. So when you're when you're thinking about it from a system perspective, how do you build a system that honestly solves all of those problems with one platform? It's a really tough job. That's a really tough job. You know, it's a very high bar. It's not easy, and I don't I don't necessarily envy the person that has to solve that, but you know, if we're looking at the evolution of Salesforce and specifically Revenue Cloud, coming from the Steelbrick package, going into RCA, pulling in billing, the evolution of billing, it's all trying to get at that problem. How do we have a platform that makes customers successful across industries and across the gamut? You want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to add that it also is important to have a product, not only with all of those other considerations that you listed, but it has to be a product that can be easy to maintain in terms of like company growth and like changes in the market. Like the market changes so quickly, and a company that can't like readjust their sales or their marketing strategy or their product design or their pricing design, you know, in order to fit the price or the mood of the market, they will eventually like go bankrupt if they can't sell properly, right? Or if they're stuck because they're trapped by their technology. So that it's really critical that that Salesforce also considers, you know, the versatility and the ability to evolve. Yeah.
What do you think, Bishop?
I can't remember if it was John or Micah that said is kind of removing the technology viewpoint and becoming more of a technologist.
It was Micah. I'm not smart enough for a comment like that.
You know, removing the Salesforce lens from it, but in embedding yourselves with the customer to truly understand what they're solving and wear their shoes. You can come as a consultant with Salesforce best practices and preach to those all day, but if you don't understand what they're trying to solve, and fit into their model, these guys are over here just filming me.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine.
I am as red as a cherry over here. But I've lost
Even
my
his
train of thought.
microphone is red.
But yeah. But no, I think the best is just, you know, become one in their shoes and truly understand those requirements, and then start to look at how that technology is going to shape and work out for them. And one thing I will say through all of this, and we can all probably say, is like during all of, you know, as you're going through this, entering into Revenue Cloud, you're not going to get it right the first time. You're going to, and probably the best thing to do is to fail fast and learn from those mistakes and pick yourself up. And then you're going to fail again. And as the ecospace is continuing to evolve, you know, Revenue Cloud Advanced is all brand new. We're all in this journey of learning what of its capabilities, what are its limitations today, and trying to translate those into, you know, and fit to customer solutions. That you're going to run into a lot of bumps, but these speed bumps that you're going across, you know, across your career road path, kind of define where you'll be at in, you know, years to come.
I think just to bring it back to TDX, you know, I was at a session yesterday that made it very clear that all of the challenges Bishop just talked about are going to be solved by Agentforce. So
Oh,
we're good.
well, there we go.
Just
Problem
ask the
solved.
agent. Yep.
Well, okay, so just devil's advocate here. Micah, you were talking earlier today and with me yesterday about some ideas where we could start to pair Revenue Cloud with Agentforce. And anybody who's followed me at all knows I like to talk shit about AI and all this other stuff. However, you had a very interesting potential use case where we could use an agent to do a lot of the monotonous, boring work that's going to inform a lot of our quote to cash process and help sellers figure out what should I sell to whom and when. Can you start to line that out?
Yeah, so I think, one of the best slides I've seen in a while, I actually did see at a session yesterday, all sarcasm aside, which showed kind of the evolution of AI in general, from a chatbot to a co-pilot type agent to an actual, agentic experience. And I hate that I use that term, but that's what they called it on the slide. Okay, I didn't choose that, but I think the concept is important because a lot of us who are very curmudgeon-y about AI and the role it's going to play, and technology related jobs in the near to mid-range future, I think it's easy for us to see it as tools to make salespeople more complacent and not have to plug in as much or not have to follow the process as much, which can be true. But, I think the way Agentforce is priced, it's pretty expensive to use Agentforce just to make salespeople be able to just chat something into a box. And I think the real value-added use cases are going to be much more interesting from a technology perspective and from an ROI perspective around, leveraging data in your Salesforce instance or in Data Cloud, in your data lakes, wherever you have it. But to be able to use Agentforce, in particular the headless agents, to go do work for you without a person prompting it in a chat.
Like you were basically talking about data enrichment. Like, let me use this agent to go scour the interwebs, scour our org, use it something like a Data Cloud, go take a look over at the ERP.
I have a new perspective account and a contact that I've been talking to, and maybe I create an opportunity, or maybe I've just added enough detail to my account or changed the status to prospect, and now I have an agent that says, okay, let's go do some work and find out some more about this client, and let's compare it to other let's compare it to existing clients that we have. Let's look at what products they're selling. Let's look at our history of quotes that have been proposed, and some won, some didn't. And let's look at what's winning. And let's get some recommendations from a product and pricing perspective. And then, maybe let's look at where the owner of the account is in their quota attainment and say, okay, here's what you would need to position. Here's what we recommend. Here are the price points that you'd want to probably start at. And here's what you need to sell to be able to stay on your target. And you can do all that without a user prompting it, because you could have an orchestrator agent that works with other agents to go kick off a process of looking at this customer's LinkedIn and look at their other social posts, and then go check out the account owner's current pipeline and where they're at with their commission stats and so on. So I think just some really interesting use cases to actually add value to the business, short of just like making it a little bit easier for salespeople to update, stay on top of their opportunities.
All right, Micah, I love that idea. Data enrichment. It's almost like a replacement for Data Cloud, which didn't really work that well anyways, kind of. And now you could use that in lieu of a sales rep spending hours updating stuff. I know even for myself, I don't have a lot of fields on objects in Salesforce, but still, when I have to go look at somebody's LinkedIn profile to figure out what their title is, and I type that in and get their phone number, boy, wouldn't it be great if something could automatically do that. So maybe I have a LinkedIn URL field on my lead record, so when I populate that field, it kicks off an agent that goes to LinkedIn and looks for that person and or whatever, Tiff, you had a pretty cool use case idea as well. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll start off by saying I think the world was a little skeptical of AI when it first started.
I know I
blowing up.
was. Agentism over here.
And I think really we've come a long way over the last couple of years, and Salesforce in particular has come a long way in the last year, to where there has been that trust of, okay, there are some real use cases here, the technology really is there, and now we can get some real value without worrying about data security or hallucinations, et cetera, et cetera. So one use case is if you can think of a scenario as a sales rep where you type into a chat bot, the Agentforce bot, agent, what are we calling them?
Secret
Agents?
agent man?
I type into my agent. You'll have to edit this out.
Agentina?
Okay, so here's the scenario, right? So if you can imagine you're a sales rep, you type a prompt in that says, go create a quote for me for this account based on the entire customer 360, analyze the transcripts for meetings, analyze the call log, analyze
Install base?
Analyze the case history, and come up with a quote with what this customer is most likely to buy next.
Because that's basically what this AI stuff is. It's like a probabilistic thing. What are they probably going to buy from us?
Correct. Or, if a company has a strategic initiative to sell a certain product that they just released, they could go, okay, agent, go find me the top 50 customers that are most likely to buy this new product from me.
Yeah, and once we have sufficient data in our systems, which most of, especially the earliest adopters of Revenue Cloud, they're going to have huge volumes of data. They're going to have multiple external systems that they'll be talking to as well. There's going to be a lot of data with which to inform agents or analytics products, what have you, to get those insights and have a pretty accurate prediction of who those best customers are going to be.
Yeah, so what's really cool is, and again, going back to the headless agents, you're really going to be able to combine the autonomous AI and LLM type model with the predictive AI, where you can actually analyze data rather than just automate processes and do a little bit of light analysis on a record. But I think that's a really valuable angle too. I'm working with a customer right now that it's Salesforce CPQ, but they have very tricky processes, and there's a lot of data points, and there's a lot of things to negotiate and configure, and there's only so much you can do from a CPQ perspective. If you need to make 40 fields available to configure as a part of the deal, because there are times when you need to change that, and they interact with these customers on the payment terms and all the different types of commercial terms and different values. It's hard for users to learn that. Wouldn't it be nice if, looking at the historical data, looking at other customers, a sales rep could go in and go, I think I've got everything covered. Is this all the fields that I need to check? Does anything look strange about this deal? Is there anything non-standard? Or is something off based on how we've transacted with this customer before? And then have it just flag, hey, looks like you've got net 60 payment terms. Really, the standard is net 30 for customers like this. And it can handle a lot of that. And then you can go, okay, can you update those values to the standard? Or, okay, no, we did negotiate that, and that's fine. There's so much like lost quoting velocity and issues and billing corrections and things like that I think can be caught. And again, you could do that autonomously as well, or you could do it, from a chat window. When a salesperson hits a certain point in the process and they're like, hey, I'm going to hand this to Deal Desk, or Deal Desk even as a part of their process, maybe AI can handle most of what they're doing. I think people talk about Deal Desk disappearing because of AI, and I don't really see that happening, but I think it's a great tool to accelerate the number of deals they can get through and approve and make sure that there's not, things that they're missing as well.
Yeah, it'll decrease the total number of deals they have to look at without, so they can spend more time on those deals that are really in that gray area Also, to your net 60 sort of a thing, you could also show the user, hey, you got net 60 terms. However, there's still a 80 to 90% probability you'll still close on time if you drop it down to net 30, and you won't need to get an approval for this.
Yes, saving approvals is a big one too.
It's an overlooked part of point of friction, I think, in the sales process. We have this need to touch the bottom of the pool and put on our floaties and all of this other stuff to keep everything safe, but at the same time, we're slowing ourselves down and making it almost impossible to cross the pool in the first place. And the whole point of jumping in the pool was to swim laps. And if we're doing that with floaties and we've tied a boat to ourselves and all this other stuff, that's just going to slow us down. So finding the minimum effective dose for what is the smallest amount of stuff that we have to approve, and how can I make it impossible for the user to do it wrong and very easy for the user to do it right.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of the use cases that we've talked about even today for Agentforce is time savings for sales reps. And I think that there are just a ton of ways that Agentforce can be used to save time for sales reps. I have never met a sales rep that wants to be sitting on his butt in a chair with the computer in front of him, typing stuff into Salesforce or paging through different accounts, or these sales reps want to be out there selling. That's what they do best. That's what they should be doing. And I think Salesforce has always had that vision of making the system simple enough for sales reps to get all of the information that is needed for them and for the rest of the business, but then also making it easy enough for them that they don't have to sit there all day, or they don't have to sit there for duplication of data, copy paste, or researching. Like your use case was great. Go to LinkedIn and get all the information about this person, or even just simple stuff that we could do with ChatGPT today, like take this meeting transcript and summarize it, take out the 5 key points, or analyze these meeting notes and put recommended products in order of probability of them purchasing this.
Automatically put them into quote line groups is a good, better, best option. With one of them marked, or 2 of the 3 groups marked as optional. Look at that.
There you go.
Yeah, I think something you said to reminded me that like a lot of the customers I've worked with have a lot of different groups that are part of the process. There's sellers, there's ops people, there's deal ops, contract ops, deal desk, other types of approvers, executives. And one of the simplest but nicest features, I think, from Agentforce is the tell me what's going on with this account feature. If you can get a summary that looks at, well, where are we at in this process? What has happened? Can you summarize and look at all of the, interactions on Slack related, tied to this account or whatever? So much time is lost. Just now this is in my queue. I'm a contract ops person. Now I need to figure out what did they talk about? If I'm supposed to validate that all of the commercial terms are correct, how do I know that they didn't negotiate net 60 as a part of reducing a discount or something? If I can just quickly type in chat, hey, summarize this account, tell me where we're at with this deal, and summarize, what has been discussed with the client regarding the commercial terms, and if it can just boil it down right there, now I can focus on the other aspects of the deal, like risk analysis, or even having agents that can help
you can
do
kick
a
off
risk
a risk
analysis.
agent.
Yeah. So I think just in terms of working deals, handing across different teams, it's hugely helpful. And so much is lost, when each team picks up the deal and it's their turn. If you can quickly see what's going on, that's huge value.
Yeah, the more points of contact you have, the more points of potential separation you have as well, and that slows things down quite a bit. If you want to know more about agent stuff, though, there's plenty of information about that. Going back to the topic at hand for the final little bit, let me see how we are on time here. About 42 minutes. Let's talk about the actual product itself again, Revenue Cloud. I want to know what excites you most about the future of Revenue Cloud based on publicly available information, forward-looking statement, safe harbor, cover my ass. But what's on the roadmap that's got you either in the last release that's actually been launched and it's out there now, and or stuff that's coming around the corner that you're really excited about. We could probably dive a little bit too into Revenue Cloud billing as well.
I'm personally I'm kind of a math nerd, and so the calculation sequence for the pricing engine I think is very, very compelling. I love we have so much freedom in controlling the pricing waterfall now in the new version. I think that's phenomenal, and the fact that you can have multiple of those, and it has like a visual representation of it, so it's so easy to keep track of. I felt like this was just tribal knowledge before, and now it's like it's as user friendly as it can get, right? It is, however, I think probably going to be a double-edged sword where if you over customize, it can definitely be a hindrance instead of a blessing. And so you need to we need to kind of keep that in mind when we're designing and configuring and stuff. But just having visibility, I'm personally a very visual learner. Having like the control and the visual representation of all of the steps that happen in the pricing sequence, and to be able to interact with those is just invaluable. And so I think that is probably the nerdy part of me is just really happy.
I don't think I can just do one. I'll do two things that I'm excited about. So the first is make a controversial statement and say I kind of loved the quote line editor from Salesforce CPQ because you can't really break it. It does what it does. It doesn't do what it doesn't do. There are some ways that you can extend it, and I think that was maybe Max would say otherwise, but I think that's why it was built that way, so you can't break it. Max Redman. Shout out to Max, the originator of Salesforce CPQ. But one thing I do love about RCA is you can really own what that quote line experience should look like and how you can interact with it. And since you can call the pricing APIs and get real-time pricing from whatever context you want, I think that's really cool from an implementation perspective, that you can really provide the experience your internal sellers want or your external sellers or partners, which is really cool. So RIP to the former quote line editor for all of the goods and the bads. But I am excited about that. The other thing is, most of the projects that I've worked, provisioning was out of scope. How Revenue Cloud interacts with the company's actual provisioning or fulfillment systems was always like, we'll get to that next. We'll hold our nose and deal with what we have to with manual processes or customizations for now. And I think the dynamic revenue orchestration tool, DRO, is going to be a strong answer for that, from order decomposition all the way through to whatever custom back office fulfillment and provisioning processes you have. I think a lot of that pain will be addressable with core platform capabilities, or at least easier to actually hook into and support the type of order management and orchestration processes that you have. Because let's be honest, the Salesforce CPQ advanced order management, not super advanced really in any way. So I think that there's a lot of cool stuff coming. And I guess I'll have to throw in the third. I am excited about Salesforce billing, Revenue Cloud billing. That's been a pretty tight set of use cases that you can support historically. And I'm excited to see where that product goes.
Yeah, great. So the thing that I'm most excited about is more generalized. So the thing that I'm most excited about is seeing Salesforce's investment in this product. So we should have videoed this, so we got that on camera. Garvin's is doing everything except jumping entirely out of his chair.
He just smashed a glass in celebration at this coffee shop.
That's right.
We might have to leave.
But we knew in the ecosystem that it was not always going to be a managed package. It made sense for it to come on core. It made sense for it to not be this additional thing to be installed on top of core Salesforce. And we went years without a lot of innovation in Revenue Cloud or in the SteelBrick package. And there weren't too many announcements about what we were doing, you know? So I think at last year's TDX, I think I made a joke about being an orphan. And that's what it felt like, you know? We were just out there like, you know, we know that this is a really valuable product, but where is it going? And I feel like now we have that North Star. Now we have the innovation, and it's really, really awesome to see the innovation, to see the product come from nothing to being even what it is today. We're only a year and a half into this, and I am really impressed. And I have a lot of faith in where we're going and, you know, the investment that Salesforce has put into this. I think we're all going to be really happy with that product, and I'm really excited to see how many of those various use cases we end up solving on one platform. But if anybody can do it, it is Salesforce.
Yeah, I think all of you have probably touched on some of my favorite points. I think one, the flexibility of the price waterfall, where it's no longer rigid and it's tribal knowledge, and now it's, you know, flexible to a point, but always to your customizations. As well as the lookout of the quote line experience. I think that was a lot of the feedback in my career I've always received, is just how unflexible the QLE is today. And, you know, where companies have very dynamic or you know, not dynamic, but like a lot of data points that reps need to see while they're quoting. Within that UI, you were constrained on how many columns you could have, and then also just having the additional option bucket drop down, though added up more landscape, still is just a quoting experience that a rep might not want to have to do. And so I think having that full flexibility is going to be key. One of my other favorites is just the new product structure. Though it on paper can look a little intense, the flexibility of the new product structure I think is going to pan out pretty well. My favorite so far is just the ability to pass in attributes, you know, down through the hierarchy and set them in sets where, you know, we're used to creating a configuration attribute, a field on an object, and passing that field to every object that we need to. You're going to save up a lot of real estate on those objects now without having to create those fields to pass down to everywhere. So just from a maintenance standpoint, I think that's going to be pretty fantastic.
Lots of good stuff. I'll finish it off and then we'll wrap up here. So I know you two have some wine to drink. Where are you going, first of all? You're going to Sonoma, right?
Is it Napa?
Napa,
yeah.
Aren't they on the, like, the
Oh,
opposite
God,
sides of the
I
same
don't
mountain
know.
or something like that? I don't know. They're going to go drink
I am
wine.
not a wine guy, so it is
I find a hard
I'm
time
following her
believing
lead.
that.
Today that changes.
It's a different type of wine. I just wine a lot. It's
Oh,
I don't
okay.
drink a lot of wine.
WHINE.
Does Pierce Washington know you guys are going to Napa today? Okay.
They're going to meet their boss.
Okay. I
This
wasn't
is
gonna
an
tell.
HR
Edit that out in
sanctioned
post.
trip. All right. So for me, what I'm most excited about, I'll go kind of in reverse order and mostly parrot what's been said already. I think, Tiff, I agree. I talk a lot of shit. We all know this, right? But I have never seen this much investment in this product from Salesforce since the acquisition of SteelBrick years and years ago. So that is incredibly, they're putting their money where their mouth is. And as I see the roadmap unfold, it's unfolding at or above the pace that I expected, because I'm a curmudgeon, a cynic, a skeptic, but it's rolling out quickly. You got a lot of people working their asses off on this thing, and it's showing tons of progress despite any short-term misgivings. Remember, software takes time to develop, and there are mistakes that will always be made along the journey, and there are a lot of people working very hard to make this thing awesome. I think the flexibility, double-edged sword, I agree with Micah to that point. Like, there's only so much you can break the out-of-the-box price waterfall stuff. We've seen a lot of stuff, though. I mean,
It was as frustrating as it was beautiful.
Yes. And then the flip side is also true. Jess, you made the point of, you know, with this flexibility, you gotta rein that in sometimes. No, not every one of your products needs its own pricing procedure. We don't need to do that. That would be a terrible idea. But the flexibility that this is going to allow, both from the under the water mechanics to the visual representation of things, is going to be far more useful and effective than the legacy stuff. And then the other thing that I'm excited about is there are still 6,000 to 7,000 legacy CPQ customers. We see you. We can still help you. Everybody at this table can still help you on that journey if you have the legacy products. Whether you just bought them, you have them, you need help with them, everybody at this table can help with them. So in the show notes and stuff, they're not going away anytime soon. Rest assured, those products will be around for a while.
I'm just going to throw this out here. Maybe this time next year we'll be able to have like a RevHead X.
Yes. RevX.
RevX type event.
Revenue experience.
Given all the investment you guys are talking about, it would be great to actually have a dedicated
Hint, Salesforce, if there's anybody there. Product managers, we love you. We really do. That would be really cool. Let's do this. But yeah, with that, let's wrap up here real quick. But I think there's exciting times for Revenue Cloud. We're going to keep you up to date. Follow Pierce Washington. Follow, Jess, I don't know what you come here.
I don't have social media.
She doesn't do social media. Okay, that's fine.
I'm on LinkedIn.
She's on LinkedIn. Great. Micah's on LinkedIn as well. What was your company?
Blue Robot.
Blue Robot. Love it. And mine is completely unimaginative.
His favorite color is blue, and he loves robots.
Blue.
Is he looking for a job? Internship? There we go. Perfect. Okay.
There you go.
Deal.
The world's most advanced 6-year-old? 7. We're just picking ages today. None of these parents have remembered their kids' ages this morning. That's fine. All right. Well, we'll do this again next quarter with another installment of Revenue Cloud Roundtable, where we'll talk about this stuff some more. In the meantime, follow all these people. They know what the hell they're talking about, and they're awesome people on top of that. And with that, we're going to get back to our coffee. You two are going to get on the road, and we'll see you in the future.